My name is Nadia Han, and I'm being joined right now by Michael Davidson, who's one of the original Patty Bakers. So I am so thrilled and honored to have you as a guest just to ask you a few questions about this historical event. So welcome.
Well, thank you. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Awesome.
I was born in Kingston, Jamaica, came to Canada when I was 14. My parents started a bakery in Kensington Market. When we came, that was 1977. And they were actually away, I think, in 1985 when the opportunity came up for us to have this discussion about the name of the patty. The time, I think it was winter, of course, because it's February now, and Consumer and Corporate Affairs came in and wanted us to change the name of the patty. So I was actually working in the bakery part time while I was in school, and when I finished school, I started to work there full time.
Yeah, you would have been a very young person at the time too. Like you're a young man when this is all happening.
Yes, that's right. I was about 21 when it was taking place. Well, something, I was very blessed that we had a lot of support. And where the store was in Kensington Market, we had a lot of cross section of people coming in. And one of the people who visited the store regularly was a reporter who worked with City TV called Colin Vaughan.
Yes.
And he had a great approach to it. He said to me, Michael, this is like a joke. You've got to make a joke out of this.
Yeah. It seemed like
Approach it with a sense of humor.
It did seem like a joke because yeah, I was in the third grade at the time. So I remember my dad talking about it, but I didn't take it seriously. I didn't even th I thought it was just one of my dad's stories. He
No,
always shared
it was a
things
real
about,
story.
yeah, or maybe my dad was exaggerating, or it could have been a tall tale or something like that, you know?
Well, in this case, it was really a great opportunity for us from a publicity standpoint and to bring the patty to the fore.
Yeah,
Because without this publicity, I mean, it would never have gained the notoriety that it did. And they say timing is everything. And at the
yeah.
time, Brian Mulrooney was on his way to Jamaica for a Seabed Authority conference.
Wow. Okay.
And Rosie DeMana picked up the story and had it in the Toronto Star.
Okay.
And that's really where it gained some legs from that. And
Yes.
then the media picked it up. The television stations picked it up,
Wow.
and the prime minister's office got word of it. And they said, "Oh well, we don't want prime minister going to Jamaica, and then we're going to be having a fuss about the patties, right?"
Right. And probably would make Canadians and Canada look bad. It might make the prime minister look bad as well, you know?
Correct. And as it so happens, when he got to Jamaica, they served him all types of patties because they'd obviously heard about it.
Oh, that's so funny. Wow, that is really good timing, by the way.
Oh yeah, like I said, time is everything, and we were fortunate, and it was the right place at the right time. It's was my dad's business, Kensington Patty Palace.
Oh, Patty Palace. Okay, yes.
Right, and it was located
Patty,
in Kensington Market.
so Patty Palace actually got mentioned in the book. I actually had there's a part of the story where they're trying to brainstorm names of their Patty Bakery, and I had a long list, but they didn't all make it into the book, and Patty Palace is
Oh,
right.
fantastic! Look at that. Yeah, fabulous. Yes. Well, what happened was at the time I wanted to get consensus because I'd been invited to a meeting with Consumer and Corporate Affairs. So I
Mhm.
called some of the other manufacturers, such as Allen's, George's Tasty Patties, Michelin's, Randy's, the
Wow.
guys, Spencer's Bakery, and asked them, okay, did they want to join me at this meeting?
Yeah.
Universally, they all said, "No, Michael, you're doing a good job. You keep going. We're right behind you."
You're only 21, but you go for it. You're young. Oh my goodness, that's a lot of pressure for a young person. Were you studying law or civil service? Like what prepared you for that meeting?
The only thing I was studying was bacon.
Oh, at George Brown, I take it.
That's right. John Brown campus was actually right next to the bakery, where
Oh,
where I went
wow.
to John Brown because it was on the same on Baldwin Avenue where we
Oh,
had the store in Kensington
wow.
Market. Yeah.
Wow, I had no idea. This is great history. Like I think the big thing for me is just knowing about this history because I don't want there's a lot of people who still don't know about it and like me, I thought it was folklore or something my dad was exaggerating. And then when I um I started to read. I think it was maybe your daughter who wrote an essay that I read. And I just it made me think, okay, this really did happen. And then I believe shortly after in 2022 is when the Patty versus Patty short film came about.
Well, that was actually partly through my daughter as well.
Oh,
She's a cinematographer, and I had Chris Strikes, the gentleman who made Patty versus Patty,
mm.
had been trying to get hold of me to
Oh,
ask me to participate in this
wow.
film because he had been watching Being James Bond and another movie. I don't remember what the other one was, but he heard about the Patty story, and he thought, this would be a great way to present the story. And
Mhm.
that's why he got the idea to present it in the way that he did.
Wow.
So I said, oh, okay. He contacted me several times and I wasn't responding to him. So he contacted my daughter and he
Okay.
says, would you get your dad to get back to me? He's one of the OGs in the patty business.
Yes.
So she calls me and she says, Daddy, Chris wants you to reach out to him because he says you're one of the OGs in the patty business. I said, who is Chris referring to as old guy?
Hey, yeah. So I understand your family is still involved in the patty business, but at a different scale. Can you
That's correct. That's
that?
correct. So we now make patties on a wholesale basis. So
Wow.
we export them to the US and we sell them into supermarkets here in Canada.
Yeah.
And also we sell to schools and places like that.
Yeah, patties are just so they've taken off. They're so universal. And I didn't even appreciate it at the time. In fact, when I was in the second grade, my parents gave me patties every single day for lunch. And they were hot when they made them at home. They wrapped them in foil. So by the time I got them for lunch, the crust was,
Yeah, a little soggy.
yeah, so I wasn't I after a while I grew a little tired and I started trading the patties for Nutella sandwiches and for all these things my parents would never buy us. So and
Well, it
yeah,
helps you to make friends, right?
it made friends and the patty was like currency.
For me, one of my favorite dishes is mackerel rundown. So if you ask me for a flavor to put it in the patty, if I was something that I'd like to do, it would be mackerel rundown.
Wow, that would be quite something, eh?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
that's one that I'm curious about. We've made stew peas patties, we've made ackee and saltfish patties, of course, a variety of vegetarian patties. We've made breakfast patties. So we've run about 50 different types of fillings.
oh,
So we
50.
have, yeah, we have quite a few. The one we haven't done a lot of fish ones. You have a few seafood ones,
Okay.
but I'd specifically like to do mackerel.
That's really interesting because there's a part of the story where August is being asked about all these different types of patties. Is there gluten free? Is there halal? All these different ones. And it's quite interesting to know that, yes, you as a patty baker have experimented and have baked, sold, and made those. Because I've made patties before on a few occasions, and it is quite labor intensive at home. So I don't know if you have any suggestions, any tricks, any.
But the thing with the patty, one of the most important parts of it is the pastry. And with the preparation of the pastry, usually it involves time
Yes,
because the pastry generally has to rest. So
yes.
when you prepare the pastry and you fold it, you generally want it to rest. And the longer it can rest, the better. So if it rests for, 6 hours, 8 hours a day, it's even better. So there's
Oh,
not really a way to kind of rush the process. If you
true.
make the pastry quickly, and don't let it rest, then it affects the quality of the product, right?
True. It
So
won't
I
hold. It won't be solid enough. Yeah.
correct, and it changes the texture. So I always recommend if you're thinking about doing it, try and make the pastry a day in advance,
Yes,
you
that's
know,
true.
and keep your fat with your butter, your sweet or whatever you're using, keep it cold, right?
Yes, that is true. I
Yeah.
have made that is exactly what I've done. I was just hoping there was a faster way, but it sounds like there isn't.
Not yet, but if we come up
Uh,
with it, I'll let you know.
okay, sounds good.
Well, it's interesting, it resonates in different ways for different people. But some of the things that I remember from it is we were able to draw a line between it and the multicultural society that we lived in, and the theme of multiculturalism in Canada, which was big at the time that we came to Canada. So it emphasized diversity, culture. It also represents fellowship because we're inviting people to eat with us, right? And I think the story of the challenge to the name was relatable for a lot of people, not only for those from the Caribbean, but those from different cultures who had had the names of their products also adulterated.
That,
So I think that really made a big difference, right?
yes.
So I
Yeah.
think that it's a bit of an immigrant story as well, coming to a new country. And I think it's the importance of sharing part of our culture in our new country. And when I look back at it and I got more familiar with the history of Jamaica and Canada, I said, it was fascinating to see the impact that the patty has had in Toronto in the last 40 years. When we
Yeah.
look over the time that has passed and all the companies that have opened up now, you have Stush Patty, you have
Yeah.
Crumbs, you have so many different people who are doing stuffed patties, doing different things with the patties. So I
Yes.
said, that really gives us a much greater market penetration than we did 40 years ago. I thought it was fantastic. So I think in terms of what the patty brings, it's us bringing a piece of ourselves to our new country, and
Mhm.
I would say getting that ingrained within the country itself. So I thought that was when I look back at it, I think that's a great opportunity for us.
Most definitely, and certainly I feel like it's kind of along with reggae music, it's become almost like an ambassador. It speaks for itself in Jamaica. It's one of those things that travels ahead. So when I travel and people are like, "Oh, Jamaica," and they have this warm feeling, it comes with the patties. I think
Very
those
true.
and all of that. And even there was a guy who posed for his graduation photos holding the patty like it was his diploma. He
Oh,
had the
really?
diploma and the patty together. Yes. Because he loved
Wow.
it so much.
Well, I've never thought of Paddy in the same light as reggae music, but I like that analogy.
That warm home feeling.
Yeah,
Um,
that's beautiful.
so
Well, I think we're one of many different cultural foods that are available in Toronto. So I think, we've certainly made our contribution and the patty has made its mark. Like I said, I think there are more patties sold in Toronto per capita than any other city in North America. And it certainly has great consumer awareness. I'm sure if we went to another city in the US and asked the question, we wouldn't have the same awareness that we do here in Toronto.
that
I
is true.
think there's a massive consumer awareness here. So I think that we certainly have made, or the patty has made a contribution. And I think it's helped to make the city that much more cosmopolitan, that much more diverse. And
Yeah.
it's something that I think we can look at and say, okay, we can definitely point to that and say, okay, we've done that, right?
Mhm. Yeah, we've been there and done that. And I
Yeah.
am so happy and I felt so honored to have you at the book launch and sharing that moment. And I mean, even the how I was able to meet you, it's quite it was a creative connection too, because I met your cousin on a retreat. So that was serendipitous, as they say, right?
Yes, it was. It certainly
Yeah,
was.
yeah. But I want to thank you so much for your time today. I know you have to get to another interview, and I'm so glad. I hope you get a lot of interviews because this is our history as a city, especially as Jamaican Canadians, as a first gen. I really think it's important that we remember these things, these struggles, the things that our parents and our ancestors had to go through because, we take it for granted that, just get a box of patties at the store and we almost lost the name. It could have been just called the Jamaican um pie pockets or pocket beef pockets or whatever you want to call it. But now we have the Jamaican patty and everybody knows what it is. So thank you so much for joining me and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, Nadia. Thank you for having me, and all the best and good luck with Patty Dreams.
Thank you. I hope you enjoy it.
Yes, thank you. I did. I love the book. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Bye bye.
Remember my heart and my love belong to you. Oh, oh, stick by me, I'll stick by you.